Welcome to Spin Justice with me, Hayley Owens, the podcast where I'll be talking about anything from health and fitness to the injustices of the world and everything in between. I've worked within the criminal justice system for over 20 years and have more recently taken to teaching indoor cycling, otherwise known as spin. Each week I'll be talking to a different guest about a topic that's personal to them, whether it be to raise awareness or just because. Most episodes will contain strong language because of who I am as a person, so if that's not for you, then probably best to swerve. Any opinions expressed by me are my own. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you.
Jacquie Eaton. Now, your business, Love in Sync.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
So I've been calling you a love guru.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that...
I've always been a dating coach. I've been a dating coach for like over 10 years. But most recently, people have been calling me a love guru. So I've kind of just took it on.
Yeah.
That's what I am. Very spiritual anyway. The connection between love and spirituality to me means, I am a love guru. So yeah.
Yeah, you're in my phone as Jacquie Eaton, love guru.
Yeah.
Have you seen Hitch, the film Hitch?
Yes.
That when I think of like love guru, that's what I think of, that film. Have you seen it, Carl?
I have seen it.
So how on earth did you get into that?
Well, I used to live in Birmingham. I moved down to Cornwall and I trained in hypnotherapy.
Right.
But I found that I wasn't actually seeing people who were losing weight or needed to give up smoking. I was getting a lot of people who had relationship problems or past traumas and things like that. So I then trained in relationship coaching as well. And that's where it's really all gone from.
Okay.
So yeah, I've had, so now having my hypnotherapy qualification and my coaching qualification, I've got the tools from both now to be able to help people. So when people come with a trauma or anything like that, I can use my hypnotherapy to get past phobias and anything that's happened in the past, but then my coaching to then focus on the future as well to help them build the confidence again.
Yeah. So with dating coaching,
yeah.
what kind of, what's your typical, or how can you help people? So what do people typically come to you with?
So typically I get people who've probably been out of a relationship for about 2 years and just can't get over the past. Oh. Can't stop thinking of that person. I had one lady and we worked out that every minute of the day she was constantly worrying about where he was, what he was doing. She couldn't get past him being in a relationship with somebody else. And by the end of the sessions, she'd met somebody else. She wasn't thinking about him anymore, and she was just really happy. So
she was fixed. You fixed her. So how many sessions did that take?
I usually, for something like that that's a bit more deep-seated, I usually say between 10 and 12 sessions.
And is that typically once a week?
Yeah.
So within 3 months, she'd found someone else?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So she hadn't been with this person for 2 years, but she was still thinking about what they were doing.
Constantly. It was like an obsession.
That's a long time, isn't it?
But that's what I get. I get a lot of people like that, or they've lost somebody and they can't move past that. The thing is, when you become single, you go through the 5 stages of grief.
I know all about this.
Yeah, and people get stuck in the grief, so they can't move past certain stages.
Run me through those 5 stages, please, because I remember when I split up with my husband and we had to do like a parenting course. I've talked about it loads on this podcast. As part of the parenting course, they talked about this.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't realise it, but I definitely went through every single phase because when they explained it to me on this course, I was like, oh my God, I've been through this because there's like a depression phase.
Yeah.
There's an angry phase. Can you tell us what they are?
So you've got denial to start with, which is where people are trying to pretend that it's not even happened.
Right.
There are 5 stages. People bounce backwards and forwards, so they're not in any particular order, but there's denial, there's anger, they get angry about it, they bargain, so then they go through the whole, I'll do anything you want me to do, come back and things like that. there's the depression, and then obviously at the end there's acceptance. So it's that whole getting to that point where, no, actually, I am better off. I am happy, and now I'm ready to move forward. So.
Yeah. And it takes a while, doesn't it? I mean, I've had a few relationships, and I feel like I've had quite a lot. I feel like, for me, and I say this quite often, being heartbroken, I feel like is probably the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Now, I've not suffered any major grief, touch wood, thank God, yet in my life. I know that will come with life, because it will.
Yeah.
But I feel like when someone says to me that they're heartbroken, I really feel for them, you know, because I feel like that is the worst feeling, you know, where you feel sick. And like you say, the thought of them with someone else and, you know, just so down and
you can't enjoy anything around you. I mean, everybody tries to cheer you up and take you out, but you're so absorbed in that grief that nothing at all. You could win £1 million, it won't make any difference.
Yes.
You're just absorbed by this grief.
Yeah, and I know actually a few people that are going through this at the moment, and I kind of feel, I'm hoping this episode will help them, because I mean, we've all been there. Surely to God, we've all been there, you know, had a relationship that's broke down. And even I think if it's your choice to end the relationship, you still go through
Yes,
those
and you
things.
do. You go through the 5 stages, whether it's your choice or their choice.
Yeah.
You know, it was my choice to leave my marriage after 23 years, but you still go through that because you're grieving the situation. You're grieving what you had, not just with that person, but the family life, everything. You've not lost it because you've still got your family, but you've lost that whole situation.
Yeah, everything's turned upside down, isn't it? So you've got to get used to a new normal then. And it's hard, isn't it? Really hard. I know that when, like I say, that was explained to me on the course that I went on, I was like mind blown, because I was like, oh my God, I've been through this.
Yeah.
And when, okay, it took a long time, you know. I weren't like stalking him, like, you know, nothing like that. It was my choice to end my marriage as well. But I feel like the acceptance that it was over, not the acceptance that either of us had moved on, the acceptance that that's, you know, it was in the past.
Yeah.
God, that was a welcome experience.
Yeah.
Because all that other stuff, you know, the anger, I mean, we were at each other's throats for a long time.
Yeah.
And the depression, you know, just feeling so down. And like you say, your mates can try and pull you out of it, but you know, when you're like constantly checking your phone to see if there's, even for a good way or a bad way, like have they been in touch because you want them to be in touch if you're on the receiving end of heartbreak. Or like for me, like I say, we were at each other's throats for a while. So there was constant emails going back and forward, and it was like a constant battle. So, God, that's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I bet
Definitely.
you see quite a few people like that then.
Yeah. And I see a lot of people who are at the bargaining stage where they're seeing that person through rose-coloured glasses.
Yes.
And they're seeing all the good things that went on, because the way our mind works, it tries to shut out all the bad stuff and just puts all the good stuff in a row. So when you got your rose-coloured glasses on, they're sitting there and they're going, oh, but we did this together and we had such a nice time. And I go, when you think about it realistically, in your relationship, what percentage was good? And they'll probably go, oh, about 30%.
Exactly.
And I said, that's not a relationship.
I've talked about this to someone recently about the rose-tinted glasses, because I've definitely done that before.
Yeah.
I know the relationship's not right, knocked it on the head, and then thought, oh, but look at it through the rose-tinted glasses, and then even got back on, even though it's not the right thing to do.
No.
Because you're not looking at it properly.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to zoom out, because we don't when you're in it, you don't think like that. I mean, how many times have you had a friend or someone you've known who, and I say this all the time to people, I wish I could morph myself into your body for a week and I'd sort you out, because like they're in it, they can't see it.
Yeah.
So they can't see what everyone around them can see. And like, I mean, there's loads of examples I've got in my head at the minute, but for an example, you know, and I'm talking like from a female perspective, and don't get me wrong, I don't like any of my episodes to be one way or the other for men or women. I like it to be quite neutral, and you could adapt it either way. But I'm just thinking now from a female perspective, and you've got a bloke completely taking the piss, you know, really disrespectful, you know, and everyone around can be like, you can change the locks or do this or do that, but they can't see it.
No.
So how, and I don't want to give away your secrets because it's your business, but how on earth do you coach someone out of that?
So if someone comes to me and they're at the rose-coloured glasses stage, what I do is before the next session, I get them to write down all the bad things that have happened in their relationship. So they've got a big list
Right.
of all those things. I also get them to have a support system around them. So, every time you think about that person and you want to text them, phone your friend instead.
Yes.
So they can remind you all the things that you've told them. So there's this one bloke that is a friend, and his male friend had actually says to him, look, don't go back to her again. I have wrote down 100 things that you have told me about her. And I went, and have you read it? And he went, no, because he just kept wanting to keep going back to her. And I says, you've got to just block her for now and keep reading that list.
Yeah.
And it's really, really helped him. And I thought that was so lovely. I know women support each other in that way, and I know men do, but for him to have spent that time writing 100 things down as a list to support his friend, I thought that was really lovely.
I'm going to do this. I've got hundreds of things to write down about people's partners.
You've got to write them all down because, like I say, your mind tries to think of the positives, not the negatives.
Yeah.
So you've got to have it and keep reading through it so you get that story, the negative story in your mind to go, oh my God, actually, yeah, that's what they did.
Because it's, without wanting to sound like interfering in other people's love lives, because I ain't interested really. Because, as a friend, I'll sit and listen, but ultimately it's your life, do what you want kind of thing. But when you keep hearing the same old shit all the time and you think, this is clearly not a good relationship.
Yeah.
Now, I think Facebook's great for this. You know how people post such a perfect life?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you know as well as I do. You're experienced. Life's not perfect, is it?
No.
So, when you just see all these lives being posted and you think, that's bullshit. Because no one is that perfect. Now, obviously, holiday pictures on and things like that. But when it's constantly like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In your face, perfection. So then I think sometimes people are scared to end relationships for the perception of other people.
Yeah.
What will people think?
Yeah.
So they stay because, or we get on well with each other's families, or, even though they're not happy.
I think the family thing is a big thing,
Isn't
because you might be in a relationship, might not be happy, but if you connect with the family, you're not just losing that person, you're losing a family as well. And a lot of people struggle with that.
I know, because that will come into the grief side, when you're in those 5 stages of grief, you're at a loss there, aren't you? Because you need to accept, really. I mean, how many people do you know that stay in touch with their ex's family? I mean, I have got a friendly relationship with my ex's family, to a degree.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't see them very often. I've no bad feeling at all, but we're best mates. We're not, you know what I mean? And I don't know many people that can really stay that friendly with an ex's family, because it's too difficult, because when that person moves on, it's going to cause problems then for the next relationship. Because let's just say, for example, I split up with a bloke and I stayed best mates with his sister, and then that bloke gets with someone else. That new partner then is looking at the sister like, well, she's still mates with her.
Yeah.
And that will cause friction. And just, I think over time it just loses its
it's
momentum.
difficult, isn't it? Because you do get attached to people's families, and that is part of your life as well. So you hang on to that.
Yeah.
You hang on to that relationship. But like you say, if you met somebody else, then how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
But I think we'll just adapt, because this is new, isn't it? There's so many single people out there. I know, say it's new. Years ago, people just stuck to a marriage whether they liked it or not. They just stayed in it, didn't they?
My mum and dad, all over.
Yeah. Whereas now, this is all new territory. So, staying friends with your ex or keeping in touch with the family, there's no guide or books out there to say don't do this or do this or whatever. You've just got to adapt to everything as you go along, I think,
Yeah.
really.
But there are a lot of single people. I find I've got a few single mates, and I just feel that everyone, all the singles, are of the same opinion.
Yeah.
Just like the dating pool is dire.
Yeah.
I personally, I said this to you, didn't I, downstairs? And it was really interesting what you said to me. But I said, I'm really happy being single, and I really am. I'm not looking. And you said, if someone came along,
Yeah.
it would change the way you think. And it would. I know it would.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for that. I'd be happy for it if someone came along. I'm definitely not looking. I've been thinking about it a lot lately because this episode coming up, just the last few episodes, me turning 40, I've been on my own for a few years.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking, nah, I really don't want to be in a relationship because I really like being on my own.
Yeah.
I've got a very busy life, but then like you say, if someone came along and it fitted perfectly,
Yeah.
I wouldn't turn it away,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't, I think I probably would be quite obstructive to start with.
Yeah. And you wouldn't just let go of everything for that person,
No.
which is good, because that is a nice place to be. The fact that you enjoy what you're doing, and if someone comes into your life, yes, you'll let them in, but you're not going to stop your life for that person.
Yeah.
And that is a great place to be.
Yeah, and that is exactly where I would need to be because I'm that busy. I can't stop.
No.
That person's really got to fit in and understand how busy my life is. I've
Yeah.
got to be on the bike every day. I've got to be in the studio once a week.
Yeah.
Got to be putting content out, and it is annoying me sat doing hashtags on my phone and whatnot. It is annoying.
But you also have to set boundaries. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's not about quality time that you're spending with someone. It's about quality, not quantity. So you're, as soon as you see that person and you might go out on a date, it's putting the phone down and spending some time with that person.
Yeah.
And not thinking, oh, I just need to do this email, I need to do this while you're on a date.
Yeah.
You've also got to know that, get those boundaries in place when you're in a relationship.
Yeah. So the thought of dating for me, I think, nah, can't be arsed. Honestly, I can't be arsed.
No.
I can't be asked to get dressed up. I can't be asked to go out and chat to someone. But we were talking about speed dating, weren't we? And how I've never done it. I would do it.
Yeah.
Me and my friend Olivia have been saying, we're both single, we've been saying we're going to do it. But the times don't suit in Birmingham. When you look at speed dating, they're all like, say, a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. You know, like when I'm teaching classes, I can't do it. In fact, I've got a week off next week, off the spin. I might see if there's any, see if she's about. But we're like both 40 this year, both single. And I'm like, I've never done a speed dating. I just go for a laugh. But you said that the cut-off is 45.
That's what I'm seeing. A lot of it is that a lot of single events seem to finish at about the age of 45, 50, something like that.
Okay.
So anybody over that age, and there are a lot of people who are single and over that age, are struggling to go to events. And that's why I started creating singles events to get people together and to connect.
Yeah. So tell me about your events then. What do you do?
Okay, so my events are not speed dating.
You don't do the speed dating.
So I try and do something that's a little bit more interesting to get people interacting and things like that. My very first one was at Mr. Mulligan's, so that they'd done some crazy golf. And it was quite good because it was a small group. There was only 11 people there, and they all come in, and that was really awkward. No one had talked to each other. And then I put them in two groups, and by the end of it, they were all chatting because they'd had to do something together, and it had kind of made them talk to each other.
Yeah.
So at the end of the night, I actually felt quite redundant in a way because they were all chatting happily and everything else. My most recent one was Valentine's Day. I did a blind wine tasting in Bromsgrove. And it was really nice because some of the people come regularly. They're not looking for the one all the time. They just want to be out with other people that are single. So because they knew each other, they then welcomed everybody else in, and it just made everybody feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
And my singles events, I'm watching everybody constantly anyway. If I see somebody's not talking, I'll go and introduce them, or, make them feel welcome and things like that. So that's where I'm coming from with these. And I do find that most of the people at my singles events are 45 upwards.
Are they?
Yeah, because there's nothing out there for them. So,
And online, I mean,
yeah.
sorry, I've got to kick my shoes off. Online, I mean, I've done it once before. I've spoke briefly about it on an episode, oh God, a couple of weeks ago about Tinder, me downloading Tinder. Now, I was probably, it's about 6-7 years ago, something like that. And I just found it exhausting. And when we said down there, like you've done speed dating events, and you said it's like having 13 identical conversations.
Yes. Yeah.
And I find that's exactly the same with online.
Yeah.
Because everyone asks the same, because you've got to get to know them. So it's like, where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah.
Have you got
How
kids?
many kids you got? Yeah.
And it's boring. And then say you're not going to meet them straight away, which, by the way, I'm not entirely keen on, because I think you can not fall in love, but you can fall for someone and the way they are. And when you meet them, they're just not what you want.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd prefer to meet them straight away.
Yes. That is my philosophy as well.
Yeah.
Get it out the way, you said the way I say.
Yeah.
Get that first date out the way, because you could spend months talking to that person, getting really attached, and then go out on a date and suddenly it's like,
Or a
they're
letdown.
not that person.
Yeah.
The photos don't represent them. Then,
Oh, let's just
you've
talk
not
a minute about
heard the
catfishing.
tone of voice, because that's a big thing as well.
It is.
Yeah.
The tone of voice is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Because imagine you're just talking on text all the time and you've not spoke. Like, and then you turn up and they've got like a really weird voice, or like, I don't know, because I really like accents, and I think accents can make someone more attractive.
That's it. Yeah.
So, like for me, I think that would intrigue me if they had a different, interesting accent. But like catfishing, like people that put like a picture on from 10 years ago or whatever, and then you turn up and they look nothing like it.
I went on a date with this. I've been talking to him, and he lived local, so I thought I'll meet him. And when I got there, when I saw him on the photo, he wasn't bad looking. He got hair and everything. I went, and he was bald. His photo must have been about 20 years difference. And it was
I'm sorry, but that is just fraud.
Yeah, yeah.
That is false advertising.
I know.
And I know it's really shallow, because we're looking at a picture and deciding, do you know what I mean? Like yes or no, swipe left, swipe right. And I don't like that either, by the way. But because again, and I've said it a million times, you could be absolutely fit as fuck, but boring.
Yeah.
Or have nothing about you.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I just think, oh.
Yeah.
Like, next.
And you're never going to get that. You're never going to know that online dating. You're just texting each other, so there's never any of that. Are they one of these people who are just going to keep talking and not listening to what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or on their phone all the time or anything? You don't know any of that. So you might as well just go and have the date straight away. Get it out the way.
I do not want a pen pal.
No.
And I don't want to be talking to someone on the phone, texting, before I've met them. Yeah. Even if I have met them, I ain't got time to be sitting texting.
No.
I'll just either arrange something or move on, because I just think I've got enough mates.
Yeah.
These ones that like, so people say a lot now, are you talking to anyone?
Yeah.
I ain't talking to anyone. I can't be asked. Like, a few people, because when you go have your hair, your nails, the beauty people or the hair, whatever. Oh, you're talking to anyone at the minute? That's the general conversation. No, I'm never talking to anyone. I'll put my phone down. So if my kids are with me and I don't need my phone, I can leave that to the side and not think about having to reply to anyone, because I just can't be asked. And it's such dead conversation anyway, even if you are. Like, there's no meaningful conversation in there. It's just so boring. Anyway, God, Debbie Downer. So from this speed dating onto the events that you do.
Yeah.
Can you matchmake people?
I don't matchmake people in the singles events.
Right, so you leave it to them.
That's them. And then if they haven't got the confidence while they're there to say to that person, can I get in touch, they can message me afterwards and I'll introduce them in that way.
Right.
And that happened with one of my earlier events, and a couple got together. They wouldn't tell each other at the time that they liked each other, but then you know, they lasted about 3 months, but they said it was a really good 3 months. They just weren't on the right page together. But
Oh, that's
that
good.
was, but I'm there just in case they do want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Because I suppose with you've got an app, haven't you, coming up that's being
I've got
built?
one launching on the 1st of May, which is not a swipe right or swipe left. It's about people connecting because of their interests. So there's going to be groups on there for, if you like cooking or walking or music, anything like that. And you can go into those groups and start chatting.
Right.
And it's not just about finding a man or a woman in there. You can talk to other people, like other single women, and even arrange to go out for a walk together or something like that. It's about having companionship sometimes,
That's exactly it, isn't
Yeah.
it? Company,
Yeah.
because there's probably a lot of people that are lonely.
Yeah. They are
And
very lonely, some of them.
yeah, and I think that's confidence maybe got
Yeah.
a big part to play, do you reckon?
I think they've all just given up, to be honest. I think they just don't know how to meet anybody anymore because there is only online dating.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's the occasional speed dating and things like that. But everybody isn't the same as a single person. So some people feel more comfortable on online dating. Some people feel comfortable going out and wanting to meet people face to face. They don't want to do online dating or
Yeah.
anything like that. So I think people have just given up and thought, I'm never going to meet anyone.
Yeah.
There's nobody good out there. They're all catfishing, they're all scammers and things like that. So everyone's just giving up, basically.
And I think that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because people are lonely and there's so let's just say, for example, I don't know, I would say that the proportion of lonely men to lonely women is probably the same, but that we don't know how to connect.
Yeah.
So, like you say, finding a common interest is a really good idea
Yeah.
because if you are into cooking or you are into walking,
Yeah.
that's actually a really good place
Yeah.
to start, isn't it? Because you might just make a mate.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And I think with the swipe left and swipe right thing that's on at the moment, you might look at someone and then you've got to scroll down to find out what their interests are. And then there's just loads of lists on there because everybody puts, I better say that I go to the gym and I better say that I do this and I do that. You don't know if they're their real interests.
Well, you've got
But
to
you'll
try and
have to
sell
look
yourself,
at,
haven't
yeah,
you?
and you've got to look at everybody's individual profiles to be able to find those out. Whereas if you've got little groups in an app where they can just go and look at those ones, you might be interested in castles and going to historical places. You can then look at that group and see if there's other people there in your area that's interested as well. So,
Are there ways that you can sort of like filter through? How can I put it? Like, I don't want to say deviance, but like, how can we get round wrong uns? Like, so basically, say if like, I'm thinking of Baby Reindeer.
yeah,
You seen Baby Reindeer?
no,
Have you not watched it? Have you watched
No.
it, Carl? She's like a mad stalker, ain't she?
yeah,
So like, imagine if you've set up a group and then you've like welcomed someone like that in, or
Yeah.
someone that's like a prolific DV offender and they've come in, or someone that like scams people out of money. Is there a way that we can filter them out?
it's really difficult because I went down when I was starting doing this app. That it's not an app. It's not like a normal app, but I looked at ID verification and things like that. And I was going to go down that route. But then I was told by the ID verification company that, yes, we can ID somebody, so we know they're in the UK, they've got a UK bank account, we know where their address is, but that doesn't guarantee the person who's signing up is that person who's been ID verified. So it was
Yes.
it was a real big thing for me. And so we're going to moderate everybody who goes on there, so we'll be checking everything as much as we can about them. And let's face it, you can't guarantee that anyone's not
No,
going
I
to be a
know.
narcissist or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we will also have in place that if someone feels uncomfortable with somebody, they can report them, we can delete it. We are going to be, it's not going to be on automation like a lot of the online dating apps. we are going to be manually checking everything.
Right, that's
and things
good.
like that. So the people will have that reassurance that if they feel something's uncomfortable, we can do something about it.
Yeah.
But we can't then guarantee that if they go and meet someone, they're not a narcissist
know.
or controlling or anything like that. We can't protect people outside of that.
No, of course you can't. And I think, have you ever watched? I'm just like obsessed with
Yeah.
telly, and I just relate everything back to a program. I watched this thing called Love Rats on Netflix. Have you ever watched it? No.
No.
Have you
I
watched it,
don't
Carl?
actually watch a lot of TV.
Watch Love Rats.
Yeah.
Right, it's just like a different episode each one. I'm obsessed with watching it. And it'll be like, and I would say the majority, yeah, if not all of them, the person that's been sort of like swindled, if you like, are vulnerable. Because, like we said earlier, if you are lonely and unhappy and want to meet someone, you become quite desperate.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real vulnerability in some people. So some people might take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So this Love Rats, honestly, it's like, oh, met this person and he said, and they've actually met up and physically like had a relationship with this person, and then they've just like cleared the bank account and gone.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, I love it. I'm obsessed with watching stuff like this. But I think that vulnerability only increases the more desperate people become to meet someone.
Yeah.
And then if you were to meet a version of someone online, for example, like so you start texting someone and you become sort of, you like that version of them, so that you might keep those rose-coloured glasses on throughout, and you might start ignoring stuff because you're so desperate for it to work.
People who are lonely and desperate don't see the red flags at all.
It's a real vulnerability.
Where with me, I'm trying to help people to build confidence in themselves and their self-esteem, so that they start to see the red flags. And, you know, even on my blogs and things like that, on my website, I'm talking about red flags. I'm talking about, you know, things to look out for. And I want to help people to get past that so that they're not being scammed. I can't stop the scammers, but I can help people feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
So that they can see the scammers.
Yeah. Because really don't like the term red flag, but it's so common, isn't it? Like, I just feel like everything's a red flag these days. And I think some people's red flags might be different to other people's red flags.
Yeah, I always say that, you know, some people's, exactly what you're saying, really, that, you know, what's a red flag to one person is not a red flag to somebody else.
Yeah, I think you've got your general theme of like, if someone's knocking you about or, you know, spending all your money or whatever, you know, I think it's safe to say that's a red flag.
Yeah.
But like some things, some people will put up with and some people won't.
Yeah.
Some people are, and I tell you what, I'm hearing a lot of people splitting up at the moment, and I'm hearing a lot of people saying, I'm not happy. I'm not happy in this relationship, and I'm going to leave. And I think fair play, because if you're not happy with someone, the one thing I'm hearing a lot about is like, say, one side of a relationship saying they're not happy and wanting to leave, and the other person's like, what have I done? So I do think, like, you know, there's got to be a level of honesty. And
I do think a lot of relationships struggle, though, because they don't know each other's love languages.
All love language is a big one, isn't it?
I absolutely love languages. And it's like when I first learnt about that, everything just fitted into place.
Yes.
It was like,
I need to know more about this.
Yeah.
So what's yours?
My love languages are physical touch and affirmations.
Are they?
So affirmations is not just about, you know, someone telling you look great all the time. It's about feeling acknowledged and not feeling invisible.
Yeah.
It's that whole, you know, walking into a room and someone saying hello to you instead of, you know, you looking for someone to say hello.
Yeah.
And being praised for things that you've done. That's your affirmations. Physical touch, again, is not all about sex. It's about holding someone's hand. It's about having hugs and things like that. And if you're in a relationship and the other person's love languages aren't the same, that's how you receive love. That's how you give love. If you're not getting that off that other person, you think they don't love you, but they're giving you their love in their love language.
Yeah.
And they're going, hold on, you know, I'm buying you presents, I'm doing your garden, or I'm doing this, that and the other for you. I'm showing you how I love you in my language. what's wrong with this relationship?
Yes.
And that's where a lot of problems come in. And if you can understand your love languages, and I do this with my coaching with my single people just the same. So when I do my matchmaking clients, they come and they have a personality type questionnaire and a love language. And I'm not matching people through their love languages. You can't do that. But what I'm saying is, when you go out on a date with that person, their love language is this. This is yours. You've got to learn to speak both languages. And that's how you'll get your connection.
Right, okay. Because I don't feel like, I think mine is affirmation.
People are very surprised. I've got a little questionnaire you can do if you like, and
Can
then you
I?
can try it out.
Oh yeah, please, you send it me. Because my cousin sent me the love language thing, and I've done it, but it's been a few years, so I'd like to do it again. But I feel like, and I don't know whether this is just because I've been on my own for such a long time, but I'm not good at physical touch.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, like, I feel like if someone tried to hold my hand, I'd freak out.
Yeah.
I feel, yeah. You're
But
laughing
I
at.
think a lot of that sometimes it will be, if someone grabbed your hand or whatever, they're taking on control. But if you're giving someone permission to do it, it's in your control, and you'd feel more comfortable with them doing that.
Yeah.
If someone tried to say, just give you a hug for no, and you haven't says that's okay, then yeah, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But if you go, can I have a hug? You've given them permission. And sometimes if you're not a physical touch person, if you do it that way, you're still speaking their language, but you're in control of when you're getting the hugs and things like that.
I feel like I mean, I don't know how I'd even work on this, but I just feel like if someone touched me, I'd jump.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I
Well,
could.
if you're in a relationship and if you was in, not just anybody, but in a relationship.
I feel like it's been that long, I don't know. I feel like the last relationship I had, I weren't very touchy.
Yeah.
And I think that comes down to how natural you are with that person.
Yeah.
Because, like, when I was married, it was normal, innit? Just to hold hands or just, like, put your feet on them on the settee or whatever.
Yeah.
But
so you are capable of doing that. That's the thing.
I'm definitely
So
capable.
you just weren't comfortable in the last relationship to do that.
Yeah, I don't
Or
think
you've
I
built
was.
yourself a great big wall around yourself.
More
Because
likely that.
if you do that, if I let that person in and I hold their hand and things like that, I'm letting my guard down.
Yeah,
and
more
then they
likely
could
that
hurt
for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's helping you with those issues from that past relationship, so that when you go into a new relationship, you're ready.
Yeah, I honestly, the thought of holding someone's hand or like being touchy-feely makes me feel a bit nervous, actually.
Yeah.
I went out with someone, not a date. Well, I say not a date. It wasn't a date on my perspective anyway. I don't know if the other person was thinking that it might be a date, but for me, it definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
And when I'm out, like, my social battery runs quite low these days, so quite often when I'm out, I just want to be home with my pyjamas on. I just can't be bothered. I just think, oh, get home. So, and then towards the end of the night, I actually started to panic, thinking, oh my God, how is this, like, how am I going to leave this person? Because if I'm out with a group of mates, quite often I'll just disappear and go home. I'll just get a taxi and go. I don't even say bye sometimes. I'll just go because I just think I've had enough. I'm going.
Yeah.
Text you when I'm back. But I thought it's not like that because it's just the two of us, and I'm going to have to, like, leave, and then they're going to try and, like, hug me or kiss me, and I just couldn't cope.
Yeah.
And I think that at that point, because that was only about 6 months ago, I think at that point I thought, I'm just so not ready.
Yeah. It's being able to communicate that to people. You know, if you're scared to say to them, I'm this has been great, thank you, but I'm going now. I don't feel like I want to be, a kiss or a hug or anything like that. That's just me, and then go.
Yeah,
but you've got to have
awkward.
the confidence to be able to say that.
I don't think I have.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a very confident person, but I feel like it's... I feel like I need to go on the Undateables or something. I just don't feel like...
Have you ever in the past felt like someone else has been in control of that situation where you haven't been able to voice your opinion?
No, not really. I'm outspoken enough, but I just think it makes me nervous. And then I suppose if I actually like someone, that'd make me 10 times worse.
Yeah. But again, it's confidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more you're,
I'm a really confident person. And you know, this is typically me all over. everyone gets friend zoned from the beginning. And I just rather talk to them like one of my brothers or just a lad in the gym and have a pint. Do you know what I mean? Just so, and it's like it immediately gets squashed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because I think, it's just easier for you to see me with no makeup, sweating my tits off in the gym or eating like a pig at a curry or something like that, because then I think this is who I am.
Yeah. And I think that's the trouble, that we think we've got to be someone else if we go on a date.
Yeah.
And if you feel like that, then you're not ready, because if you're pretending to be someone else, at some point you are going to show them who you really are.
Yeah.
And you might as well be the person that you are now.
Yeah.
Than then.
100%, because this is like, for me, I feel like I don't ever feel like I'll ever be ready in that case, because I'm an absolute pig with food. I want to just film my face half the time, and that's not attractive. I don't really want to have my face on all the time, and that's not really attractive. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I can't put it on. That's who I am. So it's like, how am I ever going to get around that?
Somebody doesn't like you because you're beautiful. I mean, you are beautiful, but yes, they see through all that, and they want somebody who's natural, who wants to pig out with them, who wants to just feel comfortable around them. If you was on a date, say with a bloke, and he got himself all dressed up and he was eating properly, and you'd be thinking, where's the real you? Where's the real you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, why shouldn't we be who we are from the beginning?
Yeah. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what kind of things then would you advise people through your dating coaching? So you said list the bad.
Yes.
So what other kind of tips would you give to people to pull them out of that hole that they're in, where they're so obsessive about their exes, or, they can't move on basically because they're still stuck in the past?
Yeah. Because I do it over 10 or 12 sessions, I use a lot of my hypnotherapy training for this. So I use hypnoanalysis.
Okay.
So the way you've got to think of it, that we can't get rid of memories. They're there. You can't come to a hypnotherapist and go, make me forget ever meeting that person. It doesn't work. You will always have those memories. But what we can do is remove the emotions that are attached to it, because we are like hoarders. We collect emotions.
Yeah.
So when something happens, we have an emotion at that time, we collect it, and then we go on to the next one and the next one. So as you're going on, every time you have a relationship, something triggers a past memory. All those emotions are all built up here, and they just all come out. Do you know what I mean? You don't feel the hurt from just that relationship. You feel the hurt from the last relationship, the one from before and before that. So through hypnotherapy techniques, we remove the emotions so that you can then talk about that relationship and go, oh yes, I was in that relationship. Yeah, it wasn't very good. And you can talk about it without all the emotions that are attached to it.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I, for a long time, felt really angry about my last relationship. Like, fuming, angry, for ages. Like, didn't miss him or anything, but every time I thought about him, I felt fully fuming.
Yeah.
And like, how can I put this in a way that don't make me sound like a psycho? Like, I could, like, what? Just like, if I'd think about him, I wouldn't think any good.
Yeah.
I'd just feel real negative thoughts.
But you were stuck in that angry stage
for a long time.
Those stages of grief.
Sometimes still get it, to be honest.
Yeah. But through hypnotherapy techniques, we can reduce those emotions that you feel.
It's definitely reduced, but sometimes, like, if his name gets mentioned, I go like this. Ugh. That's what I do.
But sometimes we don't want to get rid of those emotions, because we think, well, if I get rid of that anger, I'm going to want him back.
Definitely don't want
that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's every session that I do is tailored to that person. So if that person wants to get rid of that anger, I can help them get rid of it.
Yeah.
If that person wants to feel confident and want to feel stronger when they're in a relationship, I can help them. It depends on that person, where they are in that stage of that journey, really.
Because you know what, actually, that's a good bit to touch on, because just saying about being a psycho, I've been a full-on psycho in the past. I've definitely got psycho tendencies. And, like, not now, but, like, in past relationships, I have been nuts. And I know for a fact there's going to be people watching this that relate, because I think, like, you know, you said someone that's 2 years down the line still can't stop obsessing about someone, what they're up to, who they're seeing, who they're with. That has definitely brought out some proper, like, psychoness in me in the past.
Yeah.
Would you say that's something you see quite often in people? Or do you think people
Yes.
don't admit to it?
Yes, I do. And I think social media's got a lot to blame for it all, because they can just go on Instagram or Facebook and see what people are getting up to. And then, you know, I get people going, oh, and they looked at my profile on Instagram, so does that mean they're still interested in me? And, you know, it's all the social media, because years and years ago, you'd split up with someone. Unless you phoned them, there was no other way of getting in touch with that person or anything like that. And you just got over them.
Yeah.
Whereas now there's so many reminders out there that it's hard for people to move on.
It is, because I tell you what, you can block me, but if I want to get in touch with you, I'm getting in touch with you.
Yeah.
I'll turn up at your house.
Yeah.
You've met a different version of me, Carl.
They should bring you back to the bit where you said, I'm not psycho anymore.
Not now, because I'm all right now. But I've definitely... Block me all you like. I'll send you a letter.
Yeah.
I'll turn up at your house. I'll sit outside your work. If I want to, I've got that in me. But I feel like I'm a lot older and wiser now. But definitely done that in the past. So... yeah, I think a lot of people have definitely done the same thing. Yeah. Not that they'll admit to it, but everyone's got that, because, like you say, it's so easy. But now I feel like I've gone the complete opposite way. And if I want to forget someone, that person will be dead to me. Yeah. If I have had a relationship or a situationship or whatever they're called these days with someone, and I've thought, no, you've got to go, I will block that person. Yeah. From, like, you know, you say remove the memories. Yeah. That'd be gone. Yeah. I will act like that person doesn't exist now. Yeah. That's what I can do now.
So do you feel like you switch off your emotions then to do with that person?
Yeah.
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 But the trouble is, when you switch off those emotions, you switch off all emotions.
And that's probably why.
You can't switch off bad without switching off the good as well.
So for me, that's probably why I am so, like, about having a relationship, because I've turned it off. Yeah. Do you know what? I had a psychic medium on last week. Her episode comes out tomorrow. So by the time this one comes out, hers will be out. And she can connect to spirits, right? And she said she can turn it off. Yeah. Like, you can just put your phone on Do Not Disturb, because she's that practiced into it now. That's what I'm like with people, with blokes. Like, if I want to, that'll be gone. Yeah. I feel like quite harsh, actually.
Yeah, and that's because you built a big wall around yourself, let's say. So it's almost like, you know, you're in a relationship, it's not working, shut them off, build the wall back up, close the door, that's it, I'm done.
Brick it up, yeah.
But what you do, you're building a wall against everybody. Yeah. Even, you know, normal relationships around you, really. You are actually emotionally unavailable.
I am.
And then you attract unavailable people the same way.
Right, okay.
So the trouble is with that, what happens is that, so at the moment you're probably emotionally unavailable. So if you met somebody, you would meet someone who's the same way as you. You might then start to like them, bring your guard down and think, oh no, actually, I do like this person. I think I'll be okay with them. But you've attracted an unemotional person, and they're not going to let their guard down, and suddenly you're heartbroken because they're not actually interested in anything other than what you both met up for in the first place.
With you, yeah.
So you have to get past that stage of being unemotionally available to be able to meet the right people.
But it does come into normal day-to-day life as well, because I don't ask anybody for help. Yeah. I don't ask it. I'm that little Miss Independent, my own house, my own car, my job. No one, I don't ask anyone for anything other than the kid's dad, to do with the kids. But we've got a pattern, you know, so when the kids are with him this weekend, so that's, do you know what I mean? But my brother has recently started helping me out with the boys' boxing.
Yeah.
So he started on a Thursday. Like this morning, he's texted me, he's boxing on tonight. And he will pick them up and he'll take them. I really need that help because I'm like literally on my arse. I would never ask for it.
Yeah.
So if he one week never messaged me and says he's boxing on tonight, I wouldn't never say, can you take them?
Yeah.
I'd just do it myself. And I would, you know, I could be in bed with the flu. I'd still go, and if I had to do something, I'd go. I wouldn't ask anyone.
But I'm finding that a lot with women these days because, you know, we've all been told we're equal to men.
Yeah.
And, you know, I agree, we're equal, but at the same time, we are allowed to be vulnerable. We are allowed to ask for help, but we've been taught that, no, we're equal. We need to do everything. We don't need a man. We can do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have the help.
And it's nice.
And it's very confusing for men because men want to be the hero in your life. And if you're the type of person, which most of us are now, that go, well, I don't need you to do that and I don't need you to do that, they feel like they've got no purpose in that relationship whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's me.
Yeah.
You know what? Do you know when the biggest time that I ever want a relationship, I can tell you, it's this time of year, Jackie, when the grass needs cutting. The grass, first cut of the year needs doing. I drag that fucking lawnmower out the shed and I think, this is the time I want a bloke. Because it's these little jobs.
Yeah.
But what do? I do it, drag that lawnmower around, do the back, do the front, fuming about it, kick the thing back in the shed, and then next week I do it all over again.
Yeah.
Take the bins out, I get in the loft. I don't rely on anyone, but to the point where those little things would be nice to have a bit of help with. Financially, it would be nice. Do you know what I mean? I'm running that shit by myself.
But you're also thinking, but I don't need that help. I don't need someone to do this. I don't need someone to do that. But it would be nice, and you've got to let that in.
Yeah.
I had a lady come for my matchmaking, and she was very independent. You know, I'm not going to let a man buy my food. I'm not going to let a man do this. And I went, you've got to let your guard down, because if you don't, that man's going to feel like he's not worth anything in your relationship.
Yeah.
You've got to start saying thank you when they do something for you.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, well, I could have done it myself. I don't need to say thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I says, and when you go on a date, if that gentleman offers to pay, don't get arsey with him. Just say thank you.
I ain't getting arsey with someone offering to pay for me. No way.
So she messaged me the other day and says she's with somebody now, and she appreciated all the help with the coaching and the confidence and everything. She says, but the main thing is I am now saying thank you. And if someone offers to do something for me, I'm letting them. Not because I can't, because I can, but because it's nice and I like someone helping me. And it's really helped. So the matchmaking and the dating and things like that, it's not just about matching people up. It's about helping people to be aware of, you know, how they can bring a better relationship into their life and connect with people.
Oh, I've got a lot of learning to do on this. When you're just talking about money then, that would put me off going out with someone, because I wouldn't, I think, oh God, it's going to be awkward with the paying. And like, my ex-husband, it was a proper gentleman, and I was with him for such a long time of my life. Obviously we were married, got 2 kids, he paid for everything.
Yeah.
And I really find that as a really good value of someone, if that's how they are. But like you say, we're all independent these days. So it's like, I just can't cope with that side of it. Do you know what I mean?
But it's just getting to the end of the day and waiting and seeing what happens. If, you know, if you can afford to pay your half, then that's fine. And if he doesn't offer, then that's fine. You just pay your other half. But if he offers to pay, then that's a bonus. You're thinking, actually, he's a really nice gentleman.
Yeah.
But you're also weighing up the situation, aren't you? Well, he wanted me to pay half. What is that? Because he wasn't interested in us seeing each other and he's thinking of us as just friends, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's a minefield. This is for me. I can't say that. This alone puts me off.
But at the same time, that man might not even financially be able to afford to pay
Yeah.
for a full meal. He might have took you somewhere posh and not have that money. So there might be lots of reasons why you can't pay. So
Yeah.
I always say to people, go out, be prepared to pay half. But if he offers, then let him and say thank you. That's
Yeah.
all you've got to do.
Yeah.
And take the pressure off yourself.
Oh my God.
So you haven't got that fight at the end. Oh no, I'll pay. No, I'll pay. No, I'll pay. And it just gets awkward, doesn't it?
It does. It
Yeah.
gets so awkward, and
Yeah.
that awkwardness. I'm getting even more awkward in these situations as time goes on.
Yeah.
Like awkward about paying, awkward about someone touching me. Like it's not right.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not. Oh, it's exhausting. Just let me go home and watch Netflix. That's all I want to do. Just lie on the settee with a dog. And like you said, someone might come into my life and change it, but I honestly can't see it because I'm so awkward. And I said to you, didn't I? I know what I bring to the table, and I can't be asked to find out what other people don't bring to the table because that's how I feel it's been.
Yeah.
They don't match my expectations. I'm constantly let down. So I feel like...
But I think this is where meeting people face to face makes such a difference, because if you met someone and you felt that connection, you will make the effort to find out about them. Whereas when you're online, you're not feeling any connection. It's just a photo. So, yeah, why would you be asked to do anything about it if you can't feel anything?
Yeah.
And this is why I'm trying to get that whole back to how people used to meet, face to face. And
It's got to be the way forward for me. Like I said a few episodes ago, Hayley Brown that came on, she's the parenting episode. Single mom like me, and she said about online. I'll never. I ain't going online. No way. I ain't got time to text my mates back, let alone reply to someone online.
Yeah.
But I said perfectly for me would be to meet someone in the gym because I'm there every day. So, and also like you say, like-mindedness.
That's it. Yeah.
I've seen couples where one couple is into running, and the other side of the couple, isn't into running. But then this one wants to go off and do events all the time, and it breaks down because they don't share the interest. And it's like, you're off doing this running every weekend or doing this event every weekend. So I do think the shared interests do make a difference.
It does.
But then I equally think you've got to have something of your own that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect anyone to be interested in spin because that is quite niche.
Yeah.
But I do expect someone to be into the gym or exercise, or because for me it's not just about physically fit, it's for my mental health. It helps me. So I do expect someone to be able to look after themselves to that degree.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What was I going to say to you now? I was going to ask you about the dating advice. So we've gone from making the list,
Yeah.
rose-tinted glasses. So hypnotherapy, that's what I wanted to ask you. So what do you actually put people under?
Hypnotherapy is not stage hypnosis. It's not like what you see on the telly where they turn you into a chicken and things like that.
Okay.
They've got different techniques to find out who's suggestible to be able to do that when they're watching people before a show and things. Hypnotherapy is about just being in a nice, relaxed state so that you're more in touch with your subconscious mind. So if I'm doing hypnotherapy, it's about you sitting there listening to a relaxation and me giving you positive suggestions.
Right, okay.
If I'm doing hypnoanalysis, it's about us exploring your past and finding out what sort of things have caused you to feel the way you are. And then there's different techniques like EDMR, which is eye movement, or EFT, which is tapping. There's so many different tools in your box to use, depending, and a lot of it goes on your gut instinct, what that person needs.
I've had loads of therapy. I've had more therapy than Octinus, and I feel like all this EDMR, I know all about it, and I've got quite a hefty toolbox to dip into. Like I've had a major breakdown for a very long time. Although I did have a massive meltdown the other day because the kids weren't behaving, but that's a different story. So the eye movement one, Did they used to use that back in the day? Oh no, I'm thinking of the electric shock therapy. I'm thinking something completely different. Right, okay, so say again, the analysis one.
So hypnoanalysis is about analysing what's going on in your brain, and you have like 10 to 12 sessions where it's like a talk therapy,
Right.
but your mind knows why you've come to the session, and it's analysing everything. So it's almost like you got to think of it that you've got little filing cabinets, and it's going through all the files and going, let's talk about this, and you go backwards and forwards, repeating yourself, and then an emotion will come up, and then we deal with that emotion maybe with EDMR, or getting, if you've got an issue with, say, an ex-partner, we'll get you to think about that person sitting in the other chair, and you have a conversation with them, all the things that you've never been able to say to that person in front of you. So there's so many different techniques that you can use, and that's where I feel with my coaching, I've got all those tools in my bag. A coach usually is very forward focused, so they're always saying, looking at how you can change things in the future. But with my hypnotherapy and my coaching, I've got 2 sets of tools that I can use to help that person.
Do you know what? I think I know quite a few people that could do with your help. I just want to ask you about gut instincts.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, when you're tapping into people's subconscious, do you feel like most people, they've got the answers, but they don't listen to that inner voice? Because I tend to think, if I've been in an unhappy relationship, my instincts have already told me, but I've ignored it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why. Maybe that's because I don't want it to fail. I want to be happy. But the more and more it goes on, that inner voice just gets louder.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that? Because I definitely think I've got that.
I do. I definitely believe in that, but I also believe that your gut instinct is shown through your body language.
Okay.
So if your mind is telling you, no, we need to keep on with this, we need to keep the family together and all these things. So that's the practical side of your mind telling you all this, but your body's telling you something different.
Yeah.
So you might be sitting there talking to that person, and you might be sitting like this with your away from them.
Yeah.
And it's because your body's going, no, this isn't right, this doesn't feel right, run. Do you know what I mean? Or you might be sitting there tapping your foot because that's a body language to escape, sort of thing. And people don't know about their body language. They don't know that actually your mind's telling you all this practical stuff, stay with them. Yeah, we do have some nice times sometimes, even though they're really horrible most of the time. Or, the kid's going to be upset if we split up and all this lot. But your body is usually telling you something different.
Yeah.
And if you can tap into that to me is your gut instinct telling you that this isn't right.
Because I do feel like I've got quite a strong inner voice.
Yeah.
That I have probably paid more attention to since I very first spoke to Katie Halliwell, who was on last week.
Yeah.
We had a chat months ago on the phone, and she said to me about how you can connect to your spirit guides through your senses. And she said, you might not be able to see or hear anything. However, you might connect to your spirit guides through empathy or through like an inner voice kind of thing. So have you ever been in a situation and your inner voice has told you what to do? And not all the time.
Yeah.
That it always happens to me. It's always like I'll be stressing about something, and in my head it'll just go, it's going to be fine. Just chill out. And it's like this inner instinct.
Yeah.
But I get it with relationships. I even get it with if I'm just talking to someone. Not that this happens a lot, but if there's someone that is like trying to, I don't know, strike up a conversation or maybe start a bit of a romantic connection, I get it quite often.
Yeah.
As if like, nah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. And I think we've all got that, but we all live in our heads most of the time. Your inner instinct to me is your female energy. Everybody's got it, men and women. And men and women have got male energy. The male energy is thinking with your head all the time.
Yeah.
And because our lives are so busy now, we're in our heads constantly, that we miss that internal dialogue, that someone telling us that something's not right and things like that. And you've managed to connect to it, which is really good. But most people don't.
Yeah,
They're
I feel
just
like
being too practical all the time, so they don't they miss the intuition, they miss that gut instinct of this doesn't feel right, you need to go, you know, and things like that. So
I've ignored it on way too many occasions. Like, for example, that past relationship, that inner voice was there all the time going,
Yeah.
this isn't right. You're not happy in this. And then I'd ignore it and try and make it work. And I was just actually fully depressed by the end of that relationship.
Yeah.
To the point where I was just a complete shadow of myself. Years ago this was, but like, I just feel like that told me and I ignored it. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh, there was something really interesting I wanted to talk about then. This keeps happening, Jacquie. It's the HR turn. If it comes back to me, I'll jump back. But have you got a spin justice of the week? Because you are a positive person.
Yeah, I've struggled with this all week since you've told me. But there was one time the other week where I actually got angry. I don't get angry very often because I'm a very balanced sort of person. But I actually care for my mum. I live with my mum and I'm there for her. And there wasn't a disabled parking space, so I'd had to pull out the car a little bit so I could help her get in the car.
Yeah.
So I have to lift her legs up and that. So because the car was out, a car had come round and he had to wait probably about 2 minutes while I shut the door and got back in my side. And I went, oh, sorry, like this. And he shook his head at me. And it was like red bag to a ball. I was so mad. And I just went up to him, like, why are you shaking your head at me? And he could see how angry, and he just drove off. And I just wanted that minute to say, you know, I care for my mum. I'm just getting her in the car. Why are you shaking your head at me and didn't give me the opportunity? But it's just that whole, it wasn't so much that, it's the fact that people just haven't got a minute anymore, have they? They can't just go, I'm all right, I'll just wait 2 minutes. I can see she's there helping someone in the car. No, everybody's got to be doing things instantly, constantly, haven't they? And it's just that. So that was my
So you
my
did
little
get
moan.
one. See, I told you would, you know.
One.
You said, I don't think I can think of an injustice. I'm a very positive person. I was like, right, you just give it a week and you think about something that pisses you off. I could be like most people I speak to, they're like, oh, I'll be here all day. But mine, right, this week, 2 words, fly tippers. What we saying, Carl? Happening round by you?
Oh, so not on my road. What? Basically, down, left, and like around. So there's a park near where I live. On the other side of the park, come out of it, there's like a bit of a green.
Yeah.
They're now piled. I wouldn't say it's big, but it's noticeable.
Yeah.
Rubbish bags, beds, chest of drawers.
See what I mean?
Anything you can think of is just piled up there to the point where I looked at it and I thought, I might close the podcast studio for a week and just start a new business, a removals business.
Oh, I'll tell you about that in a minute, yeah? What's the bin situation like in Bromsgrove? You're getting your bins emptied?
Yes, that's one thing I can't complain about.
Right, so we're living in shit, aren't we?
Yeah.
Over here in Birmingham. We're just literally...
Can we come and use your bins?
Yeah, I'm going to come in. Yeah. But because of obviously them not being collected, there's a lot of fly tipping going on. So I have actually paid someone. It's called RDT. He's actually an electrician. I'm sure it's like RDT Electrical or something on Facebook. And he was advertising rubbish collection, £3 a bag.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, just for the pure convenience, I'll pay for it. I had 4 bags and I weren't even in. He just came and collected the rubbish and just sent me his bank details and I just transferred him the money last Friday night. Now, yes, I get it, how we're paying our council tax. Why on earth should we be paying any more for someone to take our rubbish?
Yeah.
For me, it was because I had such a busy week and I weren't going to get time to get the tip.
Yeah.
And plus, the other thing is people can't get into the tip. I don't know if you can.
Oh,
Tips are full.
I've got one tomorrow, but apart from that.
Yeah, so a lot of the tip slots are going.
Yeah.
But this lad, he's got his own waste licence. He's got all the insurances. He's above board. He ain't tipping it. He's taking it to the tip. And he actually got told off and they've charged him more. They charged him something like 216 a tonne and it should have been 196 a tonne because of what he's tipping. Because he should be going for the Veolia proper waste. He should be going there and he's not. He's taking it down Lifford Lane.
Okay.
But they're charging him more per tonne because of what he's doing, but they haven't turned him away. But they are turning people away, which means they're fly tipping it. Now, there was a mattress tipped on our road and it's been the talk of the group WhatsApp. it's got moved now, but it got dropped outside someone's house. So someone had put on the group WhatsApp, someone's put a mattress outside my house. They've checked the cameras, right, seen who it was, and then it got moved again. So Gemma, who again gets mentioned quite a lot now on this podcast, she's put on the WhatsApp, nah, someone's put that mattress outside my house. And it was there for about 4 days. Now, we even did talk about having a whip round to get rid of it. But again, the injustice of having to pay to tip someone else's rubbish.
Yeah.
So I asked the lad, will you get rid of this mattress for us? And he said he'd tip it for 40 quid because they charged him 20 quid down the tip. And I was like, I'm not paying to tip someone else's mattress. I did think about starting a GoFundMe for Mickey the mattress, but I thought, do you know what? Piss taking now. But it went. In the end, it went. So 4 days or something, it was there. But honestly, it was the talk of the town. But there's a little lane by me where I walk the dog. It's like a proper old country lane. You can imagine it in like the 18th century or something. And it's been closed off for over a week now because someone's fly tipped a load of shit in the middle of it. And I don't mean a load of shit. I'm talking like, like an ice cream fridge. One of them's in the middle of it and everything. So I've been proper pissed off this week about the fly tipping because it's pissing us all off. But like some people are just being really irresponsible. But that actually, one of my shout outs is to that lad, RDT Electrical or something on Facebook. He is very responsible in what he's doing. Yeah. And he said, some people had said to him, how can you like monetize off the back of something like this? But I'm like, go for it, make hay while the sun shines. Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to be tipping that and helping people, might as well earn a few quid out of it. It ain't going to last forever. Right, yeah. But yeah, anyway, have you got a shout out for anybody? Let's shout out your business. Start off with.
Okay, so that's Loving Sync.
Yeah, and is it .co.uk or just?
Yes, lovingsync.co.uk.
Right.
My membership, which includes the online app, is called Affinity Club. And that gives you discounts on events as well.
Brilliant.
So that's all been launched on 1st of May. Shout out, I as far as a business, I would say my son. He's a single parent and he's built a gardening business in Bromsgrove around, taking his son to school and picking him up and things like that. So
nice.
I'm really proud of what he's done with that. So he's called Plantsky.
Plantsky.
Yeah.
He's got an Instagram. I'll follow him.
Yes, he has. Yeah. So he's doing really well at that as well. So yeah, and to be honest, I'd just like to thank all my family. I'm really proud of my kids. When you think your relationship broke down, mine did after 23 years of marriage. My kids were like 18, 19 at the time, and they've built their lives, and I'm really proud of where they've got to now, after all that, because that was really hard for them after that breakup. And my family have really supported me in everything I've done as well.
So I think that's a big thing, isn't it, for us? Like, we think about our kids, and I think about the boys and how they're going to be when they're older, and like, as long as they're standing on their own 2 feet independent and good people, I feel like I've done a good job then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think to get to that, I'm really proud of them. Like, I'm just aiming for that because it's graft, isn't it? It's hard work bringing up a family, and I'm not saying I'm doing it on my own because Tom's great with them and stuff, but they are with the mum a lot of the time, and I think the mums carry a lot of the mental load.
Yeah,
I don't think all dads, not all, but the majority, I don't think they think in terms of like, I need school shirts, I need to do this. On a Friday, I'm like, right, uniforms off, in the wash, lunches are being done, I'm thinking ahead of like this morning when I got up in the morning, I'm taking stuff out the freezer to cook for lunch for dinner tonight. I think the mental load on mums in particular is next level.
Yeah.
So I feel like it don't stop either, does it?
No.
So like you're running a business on the side. I'm dealing with businesses on the side. That's all got to keep going.
Yeah.
But the number one is being the mum, isn't it?
Yeah. That is my priority. Is being a mum.
Yeah, and me.
And again, my 2 girls, my eldest daughter's a nurse, my youngest daughter's in payroll, and they work really, really hard, and I'm really proud of them. And then my son, he got custody of his little boy. So he works his business around him because he has to be there all the time for him and everything. So I feel like me putting them as priority as set them up. They are the same. Do you know what I mean? They're like brilliant parents themselves.
Do you know what? I was walking the dog this morning and I was thinking about my shout out and my injustice for this week. I thought about the fly tipping and that because I was getting fuming walking around. And I was thinking about a conversation I had with someone recently who hadn't seen their kids in a long time. And when I asked why, they were like, oh, like the courts had wiped the floor with me and this and that. And it threw himself a real fucking pity party. And to the point where I'm very outspoken, but I just couldn't be asked to say, bollocks. No one, over my dead body, would anyone stop me seeing my kids.
Yeah.
I'll do anything. And I think, like you've just said about your lad getting custody and being a good parent, like that, that's a shout out of its own. Because I was thinking about people that show up for the kids, number one, but people that are trying to build businesses and stuff on the side, because it is hard work. Like this morning, I messaged you in the car and I was like, I'm knackered, man. I just can't. I got in from spin at like 8 o'clock this morning because I do an early class on a Thursday. I sat down, had a coffee. You know what it's like when you can't get back up. And it's these times I'm constantly having to dig deep, constantly. So when people don't show up in different areas, it actually makes me angry.
Yeah.
It actually makes me feel like, you think this is easy? Like, you think this is what we all want to be doing?
Yeah.
Like, all I ever really want to do is lie down. Honestly, it's all I ever want to do is lie down.
Yeah.
But I feel like I never get a chance to lie down. But I feel like the comment that person made about, oh, I haven't seen my kids in like something like 3 or 4 years. Oh, because of if I went through the courts. But honestly, the conversation was a pity party, and I ain't got time for it.
No.
I think, nah, bollocks to you. I'm not having it. Over my dead body, would someone say to me, you ain't seeing your kids? And I just feel like, as a parent, people that don't show up enough there, it fucking really enrages me. I know you're nodding your head there, Carl.
I feel
you're
like
a very good dad, and I know that you do.
Well, I went to court for a year to get my divorce.
I know, you've got a full-time, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, that's the same as my son, but I've also felt that because he was a single parent, so obviously he couldn't work, the job centre was trying to send him on full-time jobs and then telling him he needs to put him in childcare, and they have not helped him with starting up his business or anything, because as far as I was concerned, he's the man. He should have been out working. And that's no disrespect to women, because I know everybody's saying, but it's almost like they're quite prejudiced against single men being full-time parents.
Really?
And they just don't understand the struggles he goes through.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's a really interesting topic. Maybe we should do an episode on that, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel it's definitely like I'm hearing quite a lot more about it.
Yeah.
I mean, equally, and it's not just men. You know, like this conversation I had recently with someone who hadn't seen the kids for years.
Yeah.
Blah. I instantly switched off to him because I was like, nah, not having it, and almost thought there's more to this.
Yeah.
Because you're spinning this to suit yourself.
Yeah.
I can see straight through the bullshit, but it's not just men. There's women doing it. There's women that aren't seeing their kids enough.
Yeah.
And the blokes are, picking up a lot of the slack.
That's
I do feel like I'm very, very lucky to have a very good split for my boys. And they, you know what? Yeah, we don't live together, but I do feel like that. You know that saying about like, you said something earlier about, and it came to me. It was about people being in unhappy relationships for the sake of the kids.
Yeah.
People all too often stay in an unhappy relationship for the sake of the children. Yeah. And actually, one thing I learned through the courts, in fact, was children can deal with breakups. They can't deal with... What's the word?
The playing in between.
Yes, but so the court said to me, children can deal with conflict.
Yeah.
They can't deal with conflict.
Yeah.
So where you've got parents battling with each other, that's what the kids can't deal with.
Yeah.
So whether that's happening while you're in a relationship or whether you're not in a relationship, that's going to be the problem. So if you're living in a house where you're rowing all the time and it's not a happy home environment, the kids won't thrive.
No.
If you split up but you're really happy,
Yeah.
the kids will be fine.
Yeah.
And that, and I do get that there comes a time where one parent might spend more time with the children, etc. But when you've got like people just not seeing kids
Yeah.
for however long and not even trying, I just feel really disgusted by it. Sorry.
I also think that kids just want their parents to be happy,
They do.
and that's what they want. They put all their effort into their parents to make them. If that parent is not happy, they think it's their fault.
Yeah.
If that parent is arguing with their husband or their wife or whatever, they think it's their fault.
Yeah.
And that all that child wants is to see their parents happy.
Yeah. Regardless
Yeah.
of whether they're on
Yeah.
their own or
That's
not.
it, yeah.
Yeah. And I think I'd say my kids do see me happy because we have a right laugh.
Yeah.
In fact, we do. We have I treat them like they're my mates. Terrible, really, sometimes. But anyway, another story. So I think we've got to wrap it up, haven't we? It's been great talking to you. Lovinsync.co.uk.
Yep.
Affinity is the app.
Yeah.
And
Which they'll find through my website. So, because you can't just sign up for the app. It'll come up, but you've got to go through the process of filling out a little form to get on there, and then we moderate that to see whether we want to send people out the invite for that. So
right, okay, brilliant. So
Yeah.
lovinsync.co.uk.
yeah,
Right, thanks for coming on.
thank you for
Thanks,
inviting
Carl.
me.
If you have a topic that you want to discuss, get in touch at b31spinjustice@gmail.com or via Instagram @spinjustice.